And here we go with the first game of the match between the new Hell Hunters and their opponents from Colombia. It's the premiere of the season 40 of RTSD's Age of Empires to the Conquerors Clan League, and we are looking at a very interesting map, as it's going to be Arabia quite probably. It is standard Arabia, and that's usually the map of choice that higher skilled clans choose against lower skilled clans, but it's not really always that such a great choice, especially since I said and noticed that last season, if I remember correctly, CLBs actually did choose Arabia as their home quite often. So yeah, this might not be really all that easy, as they might be open for. The civilizations are for the blue player that we are right now watching, slaughtering all the sheep. Going to be Mongols for Marco, Riep is Mayans and Naruto Hans, against them Zion Hans, Yamin Mongols and MPD, aka Manuel. That's going to be Spanish. So a bit of a switch as I'm looking at the minimap if somebody is going to be stealing. It's almost looking like that just the sheep is going to be stolen right now from Naruto by Gamin. So that's already actually not half bad, because stealing sheep is going to be as important as it is to steal the boars, and they are quite interestingly positioned between Naruto and Gamin. And is it actually yellows or greens? Looking at the map, this is actually, oh, one of the boars is here. It's looking like that one of the boars is actually going to be yellows, whereas the second one greens. I'll just check if the boars are somewhere close by. The rest of them, so far I don't see the second boar anywhere. Ah, here it is. Oh yeah, it is definitely the case. It is most definitely the case. So these boars are actually belonging to the opposing players. I'm definitely curious who is going to be attempting to steal, because this is just inviting for that, and it will be a pretty huge advantage for either of the teams. On the other hand, we are looking at that Riep is entering the base of Marco, but of course they are teammates, so it's not like they are going to be stealing balls from each other. Just going to be having a bit of a look into an rather nice base. There is somewhere else, not much really happening all that much, just a bit of luring, or luring of the boar right next to the TC from Zion, and Zion is actually going to be facing blue Marco, so that's Mongols against Hans. That's interesting. Whereas for CLBs, we are actually seeing that Gamin Mongol is on the right side, and he's going to be facing Naruto, so it's basically absolutely brutally equal, totally equal in here. And Reap as the Mayans, together with MPD, aka Manuel, in the pocket as Spanish, well, that's going to be the difference. So take your guess, what's going to be better, if the Mayan pocket or the Spanish pocket? Usually on Arabia, of course, you are using Mayans. They are kind of really all around useful, and you can basically play for multiple strategies with them. Whereas for Spanish, it's kind of really forcing you. It's kind of forcing you into through castle and the conquistadors, and that isn't really all that easy in here, because of course that means fast castle, some faster castle, and yeah. Even though you can do it with Mayans, and often Mayans do it as well, in the pocket it's going to be easier. It is also a pretty open map, and that might be a bit of a problem. Ah, somebody actually didn't use the Fog of War properly and failed at luring the bar, but he's going to be getting help right now from his teammate Riep, and that's definitely a pretty nice help. But CLB Zion is going to be attempting to stop that, so let's see how successful is he going to be, as we are looking at a bit of a lag in here apparently. Let's just slow this down a bit so that it's slightly better. But yeah, this is going to be pretty much the big fight for the minutes to come, as of course, if this ball were to be stolen from Zion, that would be not really that huge problem. It's usually a bigger problem if it is stolen from the Mongol, but since it's going to be stolen basically for the Mongol, for Marco, that might be pretty huge, because if the Mongol gets even more hunt with his hunting bonus, yeah, well, you can kind of guess where that's going to go with his booming into the Imperial Age, with the mango dice and such. So this seems basically that it's going to be successful. That would have to be a very big mistake right now by Riep to actually fail at this. But looking at Marco, he should already be going for the board himself. And he is, and well, exactly at the time that he actually finished. Oh well, yeah, it's actually exactly at the time when he finished with the other boars. So, so that's absolutely brutal timing on the second. Well, that was so well played. That was really well played. Nice cooperation of the teams, and really, that was one hell of a timing. So how's it looking with the boards between those players? It seems like 2 boards here for green, as we have a bit of idle time, and of course 2 for yellow as well, so not really any kind of shenanigans in the end, and both seem to be kind of okay. So the first to advance into feudal age is going to be Marco. Kinda interesting considering that he's Mongol, and Mongols usually want to advance slightly later, but he is not in the pocket, so that kinda makes sense that he wants to be not really surprised by his Han opponent, and especially since he has already stolen the board from him. He's expecting that his opponent is going to be slower to advance into the next age. Is definitely a valid thinking in there, and that will be making quite a lot of difference, as not only will he be quite safe to advance into faster castle age, he might still be even able to harass his opponent. And since Zion is the best player of CLBs, well, that might actually be a pretty big blow to Clan Colombia, as he's already walling in, so he's fully expecting that, yeah, some nonsense shenanigans are going to be coming into his base pretty soon. So Zion, he is going, of course, for Drush with the militias, as he's preparing for that, and we should be seeing Drush probably from the Mayans, but they are in the pocket, so it doesn't seem like that he's actually going for anything like that. Yeah, it's very far away to the other side of the map, or even the opponents on the flank, so he's not going for that, whereas the Mongol on the right side is the one who is going to be attempting a bit of a rush against the yellow opponent, and Naruto, who is probably attempting exactly the same. Otherwise, what is interesting to notice on this map, that basically nobody is walling. Like, there's very limited walling right now. You can see that basically just Zion is the one who is going for a bit of walls, as he's basically just defending with the militias, expecting some shenanigans from his opponent pretty soon, and they will be coming in, because tables are up almost from the Mongol, and Marco is going to be supplying some scouting cavalry to go for the raiding on the economy of his opponent. Walling on the right, careful about the wolfies, 3 of them, 4th a bit further away, and he definitely is working on walling quite a lot, because he really knows that he is in pretty deep trouble, and he's going to be trying to keep the deer inside, or rather as close to the TC as possible, so that he can make up at least for the deficit from the boar. Okay, already walling for MPD as well. He's going for a barracks about now, and that is right now his advanced time into feudal age, basically the same as for Reap in the pockets. And there is still somebody actually in the Dark Age, and that's Zion. So actually the stolen boar is a pretty big problem for him, and you can see he is just still not clicking to the next age. He's right now already almost there, but he's going to be raided even before he advances into the next age. So is this actually going to be some special kind of strategy? I don't exactly think so. It really seems like that actually the stolen boar is making much bigger dent into his plans than actually even I would be expecting. Usually isn't such a huge problem, but this time it really looks like that it's going to be game defining, and it's going to be very big and steep hill for the red player and CLB's overall to climb out of. Well, it's probably going to be defended because of the nice walling, funneling on all the units next to the town center, whereas on the right we are seeing a bit of a fighting already from Naruto as well, because he has already advanced into feudal quite a long time ago, and he does have pretty decent amount of scouts. So far though, he hasn't been having any kind of luck in discovering something that he could be killing, especially since Gamin is paying enough attention with his pikeman, aka Spearman. An upgraded pikeman, of course, to Spearman, and also volume coming up right now from yellow also, as he is applying pressure, so he definitely does have enough of a leeway to do whatever he wants. In the meantime, he's basically going into the pocket, trying to raid his opponent in there and help, because he's not really having any kind of luck against green. But against the purple player, he definitely could be, as even though he is quite ready with Volin basically around the bushes and around the gold, he is still wide open from this position, and it's almost looking like that the yellow player is going to be raiding purple exactly as he should be. In the meantime, we are also looking at the minimap, where blue has been able to breach into yellow space, or rather red space colors. As they are going for stables, or rather discovering the stables, and that's going to be unit of choice for MPD. Well, of course, because he is Spanish, so that's a unit that you would expect from him. Knights and Paladins in the Imperial Age later on, as Castle Ages are coming from both of the pockets. So not any kind of luck with the Raiden so far. Whereas on the left we are looking at quite a lot of dead scout cavalry right now, but it wasn't before. He actually was able to take down at least a few citizens, like about 1 or 2 it seems like, due to the skeletons, but yeah, it was quite costly for him. So not exactly sure if it was all that worth it. Oh, scratch that, it's about 3 villages, and that's actually not how bad, especially with the idols right now forgotten at the bottom. That's deadly. That's pretty bad right now, as he's concentrating on microing his army, but he has kind of forgotten that right now he has discovered them, and there were a few extra villages to be taken care of. In the meantime, Naruto discovered that there is not going to be any kind of fun for Raiden in the pocket. So he's moving to the right as we are having a bit of a pause, or maybe just a leg spike, not sure. But Gamin seems to be quite ready for anything that is to come. And let's have a look, for example, at the amount of villages that the players are having. Well, Marco as Mongol is having 31. For the opponents, Gamin is having 33, so he's having better boom. Then Marco, Riep is at 29 as Mayans, whereas the Pocket MPD is at 29 as well, so that's basically the same. Whereas Zion as the Han is at 30 and Naruto at 32, so that's more or less the teams are pretty much equal. Not really any kind of problem in there, with big military for Naruto and for Gamin. But yeah, it's much more important for Naruto as he was raiding even into the pocket, whereas it's basically just for defense from Gamin. Verit Arch coming in, which of course makes sense for a Mongol as he's going to be coming for a few cavalry archers maybe. Let's see. But he's not in the next age yet, right? Yes, he's still in the feudal age, so he's so far going just for normal archers, but he's definitely having a lot of archer ranges in here. I'm not exactly sure what he wants to do against a Han with those. Well, I'm not exactly sure. He is already in for a bit of raiding in here, but it's definitely going to be quite tough because opponent is already ready with his own archers and skirmishers, and it's almost looking like that he might be going for cavalry archers. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because Hans are of course quite strong at that, and that might be a pretty good counter to what his opponent is so far doing. And maybe he will be able to kill at least one of the citizens in here. But probably doesn't want to do it. Yeah, just now saying that Blue's opponent is going to be coming for Gas, for cavalry for Gas. I'm not exactly sure if I read it correctly. But yeah, that's for the Castle Age probably, and that definitely is the true. It's true for here and going to be true for the minutes to come. So it's going to be all up to Zion if he can somehow come back into the game, because of course he's slightly slower than his opponent, and since the opponent is Mongol, and even though he is at least raided right now by the Knights, which is definitely nicely played by MPD, well, his teammate, it's still pretty nice start for him with the extra bar, and let's see where the extra TCs are gonna come down. They should definitely be coming down next to gold mines. That's going to be very crucial, and the stone. So I would be expecting exactly TC here, and maybe second, I don't know, maybe next to this gold, next to forward gold. But it is a bit safer because this seems to be reasonably safe amongst basically 1, 2. Okay, it's coming in here. So 3 town centers. As he's having a bit of idle time with the gold villager that unfortunately is having problems with the pathing. But well, he is already in the castle age and getting ready against the knights with the camels to counter them. In the meantime, on the right side, we are looking at pretty good positioning of the green archers. They found a very sweet spot for them. They've already killed 2 of the villagers in here, and that's not a bad job at all. Maybe just 1. It's almost looking like that this is actually green one. This is definitely green. Green tatters on him. Green shorts with the bow. So just a 1 killed villager, but still this is definitely important because he is forcing quite a decent amount of villagers not to gather anything. 4 of them with 1 dead. And that's exactly what you want to do with raidings such as these. And this is potentially quite dangerous because this is just 1 line of wood away. And if yellow isn't careful and cuts through this somehow later, well, he might be opening a door into the opponent's base, or rather into his own base for the opponent. Marco not happy about something. Yeah, the lag is definitely noticeable in here. I'm not exactly sure what he is all that complaining about with the expletive in there, but yeah, not really sure. But in the meantime, we are looking at Riab, who is having the highest score, already amassing pretty decent amount of plumed archers and going for the raiding into the opponent. Maybe he will be helping his yellow teammates, so far we don't really know, but green is definitely aiming home. And since he's still in the feudal age, he does have a pretty huge army, so he probably can defend for some time against the plumed archers with all the skirmishers, especially because of the very nice hill in here. But he shouldn't really delay all that much, because he's Mongol, and the strength of the Mongolian players is in the Imperial Age and the Mangurais, as everybody knows. Well, cavalry archers from Zion coming in. So that's the problem coming up for Marco. And is there actually a way inside his base? There definitely is, but not for much longer, as it's looking like that Marco is going to be plugging the hole pretty soon. And well, especially it wasn't really all that open because of the army by the blue player exactly waiting in there as they should be. In the meantime, Red is actually trying to make way into opponent's base through other means. Definitely great idea. And this basically just confirms that it would have been a good idea to have a TC next to his gold mine, as it would be basically guarding this part of the map and the way into its base. Right now he's going to be subjected to a bit of abuse by the red player. Actually, this was a pretty nice spot, and with all the reinforcements, oh man, and the hill in here, yeah, he definitely needs to run for the hills himself, as he didn't, and he didn't own this hill. That would be a pretty huge problem for him overall. Okay, so that's a bit of a skirmish in here, probably not going to be all that significant, but on the right we are having much significant shootout. And quite interestingly, yellow is not really using the advantage of the hill all that much. Right now he's finally moving in there, but he doesn't really need to, because of course he's having crossbowmen in huge numbers, and he's facing just normal skirmishers and normal archers. So yeah, definitely the advantage in here, and not even the knights should be really paying off in here. These plumed archers on the left, definitely true, and where they actually are. Ah, going up for a bit of raiding. Oh, bit of raiding, scratch that. That is like, oh, oh man, 3, 6, that's at least 7, 8 villages dead on the gold. Well, yeah, I kind of have to agree, this is kind of GG material right there. That's quite late, and even though he's coming finally for the Castle Age, he's at just 42 villages now, which is not all that bad. Or rather 38, 42 was Naruto. But it's much worse than his opponent, because you can see that Marco is at 57 already, as he's in Castle Age, and he is of course booming from 3 TCs. So yeah, the Mongolian player right now from Clan Colombia is unfortunately going to be falling behind, and the game is not gonna get any easier for him. Whereas on the left though, Zion is having a very good game, and he's even forcing Marco to ask for reinforcements from his pocket player. Alright, so fortifications have been breached. It's not like there were all that many of them on the left. But of course, this huge army is just going to be continuing, absolutely plummeting the number of gold villages for green, even though he's finally really in the Castle Age, and probably going to be switching into, I would be expecting, maybe knights. That's exactly what he needs against all those archers. But really, this is too painful. Oh, this is horrible game. Horrible game for Gamin. And I'm not sure if it's gonna get any better, as these guys are also not doing anything, unfortunately, and even though he is right now coming in with the reinforcements, he's been dropped to just 28 citizens, whereas his opponent, Naruto, is at 47, so basically double, and much more importantly, his opponent, Mongol, is at 66. Even though MPD is booming like hell, 90 citizens himself, and he can probably make up for the deficit in here. This is going to be pretty tough, and really, it's going to be all up to Zion and MPD, aka Manuel, to somehow help his teammate, because of course Naruto is definitely owning him real well. So let's switch on to the left. How's it looking right here? And Zion is actually really doing a pretty great job, as he is keeping in check both teal and blue, and that's, I think, exactly what CLBs need, because if MPD can just full-on help into his teammate green on the right, it's going to be just a question of time before they are able to overcome Naruto, because of course the extra strong economy, already almost at 100 for MPD, is going to be paying off even with the few units from green. Yep, the paladins to come, not just knights, are of course going to be a pretty huge bonus against all those crossbowmen and cavalry archers coming from the Han. Alright, so it seems like that base is still not safe, even though we have seen pretty decent amount of dead archers in there as well. They are still going to be a pretty big threat, and there are about, I don't know, 15 of them. 3, 6 times 3, 18 of them. Exactly. And that's a pretty big army right there. In the meantime, Teal is actually discovering that he needs to develop into his teammate quite a lot more. He needs to be a whole lot closer. So far building just down center, but I would be fully expecting that we are going to be seeing castles from him propping up very soon, because of course he needs to be closer so that he can replenish the losses and help his teammate even more efficiently than he so far is. Down center exactly close by to his gold, which is needed for the Mongol. And Fortune coming for Marco as well, as he's definitely hoping that those camels are going to be a good unit against cavalry archers. But no, no, that's not really going to be true, especially if Red is able to stay on this hill, and that seems like to be exactly the case so far. But let's have a look at the maneuvering. That's looking kinda dangerous for Zion. He needs to be careful so that he isn't caught from both sides, because that wouldn't be really great at all, and he is going to be actually caught on the economy, and I think that's the correct decision, because since Red was basically occupying the hill in there, he'll aim in for this hill, Teal should be having pretty free reign of the opponent's base as he pleases. In the meantime, there's of course going to be Purple Knights helping his teammate on the right, whereas in the middle, Cavalry Archers are coming also into the pocket player and trying to somehow make his aim a bit more difficult, which is not really going to be that hard, because he's not walled, but he is preparing for the Paladins. You can see all the stables in here, for the Knights of course. But he does have enough reinforcements inside his own base, so it shouldn't be that huge problem for him. Of course, still a lot of crossbowmen on the right, but they are dependent in numbers because elite skirmishers are already researched and they do have a pretty nice hill right here. So finally the nuisance is basically dealt with, which is a pretty nice bonus as yellow right now with 1, 2, 3 town centers it seems like is going to be really looking up to somehow replenish this army, because so far he is with just cavalry archers, and that's not going to be good enough once MPD advances into Imperial Age for the much needed paladins. Already going for a bit of raiding in the pocket. Just killing the reinforcement archers it seems like. That's also pretty important, but if he only knew how close those villages are and how unguarded they are. There is a castle on the hill, but yeah, not sure how fast actually Teal will be noticing, because of course Teal is going to be having his fun somewhere else, but I don't really see all that much. Where is actually his army? If I look at the minimap, I don't really see him anywhere like at all, and you can already see that MPD is even switching to the left, and there was a bit of a massacre of the army, and of course, it seems like pretty much all of them, so this might be the explanation where the Teal army is. And it probably is. It is a huge graveyard, like skeleton over skeleton, is where Teal has actually lost all the army, and it's definitely looking that like Zion didn't lose all that much, especially looking at this. So that's... oh man, that could be pretty big. And I'm definitely sad that I actually lost this big fight. That seemed to have been pretty important and kinda eye candy. But really, it doesn't look like that Teal together with Blue are in any good position, and they need to hurry up into the Imperial Ages, both of them, and hope that Red is not going to be close by. Let's switch into its point of view. God damn it. It's not really close. But this is close. This is coming close. Imperial Age coming in, so Cavaliers also pretty soon. Handcard, Potkinero for Marco. Preparing for the Mangurais, of course. Mail armor for Reap. Interesting. All the upgrades with Cavaliers of course now right now in, and oh, this is going to be pretty huge army. So pretty tough times coming right now for NHN on the left, whereas on the right it's looking like that Naruto is actually not having all that much of a lag. Against his opponents, because Green is somehow still in the game, even though with just basically half the villages than all the other players, but with basically having to do just at least skirmishes against all those cavalry archers, he's going to be quite fine, I think, at least for the time being, to at least help his teammate in the pocket, especially with all the reinforcements in here. So let's have a look at the breach and the huge army that is going to be clashing in the Blues base, and that is right now going to be up to basically correct position, and it's not going to be all that easy, because this castle is exactly where it should be, on top of the hill, preventing any kind of positioning of those cavalry archers on a hill that will be giving them a bit too much of a bonus to what the opponents would be liking. Mangura is already trickling in, still not really fully upgraded, because of course he just advanced into the next age, Naruto coming into Imperial Age. Of course, with Paladins already being cleared from MPD, and oh well, that's pretty big. I'm just going to be quickly checking if maybe Gamin isn't slinging at least a bit. Oh no, nobody's slinging in here. Nobody is slinging at all, and it's looking so far that this army is getting a bit too much for Teal and Blue to handle, and it's going to be even trickier, because of course When the paladins hit in, oh man. Oh man. This little army is probably not going to be enough to put a stop to that. So this is probably going to be exactly in about a minute when the paladins are researched. This is going to be a deciding battle. Those two castles are of course pretty great defense. But yeah, they need to be careful so that they don't lose units needlessly. Because if they hit it, they might be just giving a bit of a chance to their opponents. Damn yellow switching sides. Not really continue with the radiant anymore and going to the left and maybe even going to be converging to help his teammates as well. So it's going to be proper 3v3 battle in here. And oh, somebody's gonna get unlucky, Naruto. Or is he? Yeah, he is. Because he's actually... yeah, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. He was hoping that he can actually double back to his own base. But, yeah, there are these purple guys in there in the way. So not good news. And it's really looking like that we are going to be seeing a very huge 3v3 battle of all the players at once. A ton of upgrades being researched, you can see. Ring Archer Armor, for example, Parthian Tactics, Captram, that's an interesting one right now for Riep. Handguard for Naruto with Imperial Age, Leather Archer Armor for Marco, Heavicum also, and Paladin also. Oh well. You will. And this is nice. This is going to be very nice because this is exactly what you need to do in team games and what's very powerful. You basically make your opponents think that you are attacking at some side and then you suddenly switch somewhere else once they have actually sent their army, which they already have. You can see that yellow is having just basically a skeleton army in here that is already being reduced by the skirmishers. And even though teal is right now arriving with help, it's probably not going to be all that enough because Naruto is having just normal knights, just going for cavaliers. And if those paladins can basically wreak havoc in the meantime before the upgrades are in, which they definitely can. Oh, this is going to be deadly. Oh, this is going to be horrible, especially with the reinforcements of all those guys in here. The skirmishers, this is absolutely brutal, as those reinforcements from the right are of course going to be deadly also. And we are gonna see a siege workshop right on top of the opponent. Not sure if it's gonna get finished, but still, pretty good indeed. Oh well, I would so love a Mangonel. Or even Onager better. And knights just dying by the throngs, even before the cavalries, just before the cavalries are in. And this is absolutely huge, because Naruto wasn't able to keep his knights alive for the upgrade. And that's basically the only thing that he needed to do. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. He had to commit a bit before. And right now, that's a very tough situation on the right side. On the left though, that's a pretty good attempt right now by Riep together with Marco, as they are trying to make or take advantage of this, as the teal player is not having all of his army on the right, he's also having something on the left, and of course, boomed Elite Mangurais, or rather boomed Mongol with Elite Mangurais, almost upgraded, just missing the last upgrade for attack I think. Oh, well. That is a pretty strong army, and of course you can see TC lost right next to the gold, that's very important in here, but it's almost looking like that with the reinforcements from MPD, who is playing really well in his pocket position this game, he is going to be just in time to save his teammate, and Zion seems to be doing quite alright. Even though he's still, or rather he's not, he's Imperial Age already, but Gamin is still in Castle Age, so yep, that's kinda tough. But paladins all around the place, running around and making life very difficult for all the opponents, as yellow has been dropped to just 67 villages. Just a moment ago he was having like 120, and he's dropped to half. He's dropped to half, and he's Han, so he should be supplying basically one of the most costliest units in the game, paladins, and he definitely doesn't have that because of course he would need a whole ton of resources for paladins as well, and he just doesn't have that. And it's not like it's going to be any easier for him because of the siege units finally coming in from Gamin, as he's already reaching into Imperial Age as well. And Squires, interestingly, probably means business with the pikemen in there. Areas on the left. We are looking at pretty tricky castles and military buildings, of course, built by the new Hell Hunters, but they should be really put down reasonably soon. As of course, the Han player is doing quite a good job with all those elite skirmishers against the Mangurais and the cavalry archers on top of that, whereas just a few paladins are going to be exactly tipping the balance of the scales in CLB's favor. So it's time for NHN to actually think of some plan. Wow, somebody got a lot of food from MPD, and that's going to be 4 paladins, I'm thinking. Why else would you send 1000? Oh, for siege ram, that might be it. That actually might be it. He might be continuing with the cavalry archers and just switching into siege rams, and that's not really a bad idea at all, even though of course he's facing a Mongol in here. It's still a pretty good tank for all the damage, allowing the other units to basically deal with the units in there. Already been a bit of a problem with the economy, it seems like, blue player, as he's switching into hussars. Marco. Yes, he's definitely stretched. He's definitely stretched very much, and he is at least trying to establish a market, but he's establishing a market. Oh man, that's a tough pathing for those guys. In a spot where CLBs have established it. Oh well, this is too funny. This is just too funny in here. Oh man. In the meantime, of course, yellow player is being totally destroyed, as you would be expecting, as his economy is in tatters, and even though he is growing up in numbers in villages yet again, he's back to about 80. He's going to be using now, as he unfortunately cannot use all those farms. And food, that's exactly what Hans needs, and he doesn't have it. Yep, it's kinda hard for him to deal with the onslaught of not only the paladins, but of course the pikemen together with the few siege from the Mongol player. This is looking like a pretty tough situation for the new Hell Hunters, as they are also fighting on the left quite well though, because it seems like the triap is right now concentrating a bit more on the left, and I kinda think it might be the correct decision, because on the right, the battle, let's face it, for Naruto is kinda lost. Yeah, Riap right now should be helping with halberdiers. That might be some kind of idea. He is Mayan, so he definitely can supply them rather easily. And just to finish my thought, I think that this is going to be a race. Who's going to be winning their side faster? If the Hell Hunters can win the left side faster, then Clan Colombia can win the right side faster. Then, of course, that's going to be a win. But if it's going to be the other way around, of course, it's going to be a win for the opposing team. So yeah, this trade is just total nonsense in here. Opponents just trading across each other in here. But yeah, MPD, even though he's doing a pretty good job on the right side, he needs to help on the left, because the help from the extra plumed archers is just too much, and Red is having all kinds of problems dealing with the situation. Caravan coming in with Gamin going for Elite Mangurais, and he's going to be quite soon ready for the attack, as he's, at 150, and he's just from the war's economy just some like 10 minutes ago into a very best one, and 150 for Mongol, that's going to be just so, and he should be kinda alright. Should be kinda alright. I'm just always looking at the Rex. It just means resources, I'm kinda guessing. Not really recorded games. But yeah, I kinda think that his teammates exactly know what he's meaning, and the halberdiers are in pretty huge numbers right now in his base, which basically means that Naruto is saved, at least for the time being, whereas the purple players should be switching from the right to the left, and that's exactly what is happening. So it's looking like that Clan Colombia is basically just a step ahead of their opponents, as the castle and the extra castle and basically the switch into the Mangurais should be quite in time for Gamin. And let's see if he's going to be able to deal with Naruto by himself and then push into the opponents into the Teal's base. Right now I'm thinking that basically the full-on support of MPD on the left side might be enough from Zion, but he is really having a tough time. Like a really tough time. He's having economy at 97 villages, which is not bad comparing the opponent Hans, who is at 68 of course, but it's not really ideal at all. And we don't really see all that many red units, basically just a lot of skirmishers and siege rams. So he's going to be supplying those siege rams together with the skirmishers against some kind of help against the Mangurais, and well, that's going to be exactly what they attempted to do. His castle was definitely quite gutsy from the blue player, but it's not going to be surviving for much longer. It was built literally in the enemy base. There was an enemy town center just here about a few minutes ago, so goodbye the castle, and let's see if they are going to be able to take down those castles as well. Unfortunately for them, and luckily for NHN, there is a bit of a hill. You can see that's one step of the hill for all those Mangurais, and between the castle, this is actually pretty nicely played by the new Hell Hunters, as they have been able to form an artificial choke point, and that's exactly what you need to do for all your archers. Alright, it's not really how bad, but they need to be careful as the next castle is up. But the opponent units are getting stronger and stronger. Ah, somebody's balling off trade on the left. That might be a pretty nasty surprise from Zion because it almost looks like that actually Red doesn't have any kind of idea this is happening. Ah, right now he is. He actually killed one of these. And he is, but just a bit too late because the balls are already through. And that of course means that trade is going to be coming through dangerous territory, and that's right next to castle. So goodbye trading, at least for the time, for Zion. And oh man, that might be a game changer right here. Because Zion is going to be out of gold. Well, he definitely is. So you can just build a lot of those dudes, whereas MPD is in much more deep trouble. Because of course he needs a lot of gold. And since he cannot get it, because of the markets being basically cut off. Oh man, this might be actually play of the game. Kind of funny and unfortunate for CLBs, but this is definitely pretty huge. Let's have a look on the right battlefield, where Gamin is attempting to push through with his siege. He's already having siege rams together with Elite Mangorais at full upgrades, but with Reap being in here, with all those boom touches, they are quite cost efficient. And of course, together with at least a few halberdiers, that might be just an army that might be able to make it, but let's not be too hasty, because everybody knows that Elite Mangorais, full upgraded and fully boomed Mongol, is probably the best player in the late game, especially in team games. So let us see how this battle is gonna go. So far it's going slowly for Gamin. Where else are we going to be seeing something interesting somewhere else? Just a rebuild of a trade with a castle, and that's exactly needed, because of course the trade from the left is not safe, and both Gamin and especially MPD are going to be needing a whole lot of extra trade cards. This time coming into much better spot in there. Well, because of the lost gold, I'm fairly certain that's the cause. We are looking at Zion having a pretty hard time on the left because he's not having full support of MPD just now, as MPD is switching to the right just for the time being, and they are hoping that maybe they could be able to take down Naruto for good right now, as he's back to 100 citizens, whereas Zion will be able to hold on at least for some time. But I'm not exactly all that certain. It's almost looking like that CLBs did have the opportunity, but right now it's going to be getting tougher and tougher to somehow deal with the opponents, because of course the Mongol on the left was moved a whole lot sooner, and he is already absolutely shredding those skirmishers, because they are going to be shredded by hussars, of course, and killing a ton of economy for him, as he has dropped just 65 citizens, whereas on the right it definitely doesn't seem like that the fight is going to be as soon in there. Well, pretty nice boost, 2000 food, and I think it was Stone, the other resource, into Zion, and Trebuchet finally in. That's actually pretty much the first one, I think. First Trebuchet at an hour of game time. Justin. Interesting indeed, especially since we have so many civilizations with castle units. But yeah, it seems like the CLBs have basically recognized that this might be their only and last chance to make something happen, and since the hunt from the opponent is still not having paladins even an hour in, because he was decimated quite badly, it actually might be some kind of idea, but I'm not exactly convinced if on the left it's not going to be slightly faster, and since Zion is not right now in a position to put up all that much of an opposition, it's going to be fairly easy for Marco with the remainder of the Reap forces to go into the purple bases, and once that happens, even those reinforcements that are right now coming to the right are going to be enough. Okay, so it's going to be really up to Zion to somehow make miracles on the left battlefield. So on the right, CLB should be winning, but it might be just a bit too slow for their liking, or rather to their liking. Well, quite good economy from yellows still. Whereas we are looking at a decent amount of Mangorais still, but not really popped, if I see this correctly. Gamin. Oh, actually he is popped. That's curious. He's having 145 villagers, 50 military. So where are actually all the units in here? Ah, here we can see with the GGs in here. So yeah, we are seeing that actually the battle on the left was much faster than on the right, as you're expecting. And even though it looked like the CLBs might be, and even for some time should be taking the win, NHN definitely pulled through, and really, I'm fairly certain that this stopping of the trade is exactly what won the game for them. And oh man, was that a funny and unusual play that would be winning a game. Well, unlucky right now for CLBs, lucky for NHN slightly, but definitely The skill came through, and NHN did win their first game of the season, but it was a hell of a battle, hour plus. And there was, of course, a last nail into the coffin, basically killing the trade in earnest at the back. And they were just getting absolutely everything in there. Let's check the achievements. As we are like now looking at Marco having the highest score. Well, I have been hard time deciding who was the best player, but I would be thinking that Manuel, aka MPD, was actually by far the best. He was just like super important for CLBs, and his strong boom was the reason why they were actually reaching for the victory in its first game. Well played. And Zion was playing pretty well also, for he was overpowered by the full upgraded Pongo. Well then, GG.